Wayne David.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We've had an excellent debate this afternoon. There have been a total of 18 members who have spoken, and there have been many constructive interventions. And my apologies to the House if I failed to mention all of the members who have spoken. But this good debate which we've had has displayed a wide range of knowledge, and members have spoken with passion and sincerity. I'm delighted that Plymouth has been mentioned. It has been a largely bipartisan debate in tone and content, and I very much take on board the very good point made by the member for Newbury, who said that there is an imperative for us all to have as much unity as possible on this important area. Indeed, there has been a high degree of consensus. This is an important time for NATO. As we've heard, NATO's origins go back to 1949, and we on this side of this House are very proud that the likes of Clement Attlee and Ernest Bevin in particular played an important role in NATO's formation. Today, the threats which NATO was established in response to are, of course, very different. But there are clear threats that we ignore at our peril. The members for Wakefield, Rayleigh and Wickford, Beckingham and many others have accurately referred to the increased aggressive activities of Russia. We have seen the recent actions of Russia in Ukraine and the illegal annexation of Crimea. We've seen the destabilising cyber activity of Russia in a number of countries, not least in Estonia. Now, on the weekend before last, it was my pleasure to attend a festival of military music in Cardiff. This was a marvellous display of music performed with vitality and precision. It also gave me the opportunity to speak to soldiers of the Royal Welsh, who had served with the Royal Welsh in Estonia. As we've heard from both the Secretary of State and the Shadow Secretary of State, the number of UK personnel routinely deployed in Estonia is now around 800. Our troops are working alongside French and, before long, Danish personnel. This enhanced forward presence and the tailored performance presence is vital to ensuring that NATO to provide strong defence and a clear deterrence. Now, significant as this East European theatre is, it is also important to be aware that Russia is becoming increasingly assertive in other areas as well, notably in the Arctic. And members hardly need reminding that we've seen an ever-increasing military activity close to the United Kingdom. British fighter pilots and jets and warships have responded to a Russian military activity near the UK more than 160 times since 2010, and only a couple of weeks ago, a Royal Navy destroyer was deployed to escort a Russian underwater reconnaissance ship after it approached the UK coast. At the end of 2016, along with my front-bench colleagues, I visited the NATO headquarters in Brussels. Here I was impressed by both the collegiate nature of the organisation and also its accurate estimation of the growing Russian threat. Not only is Russia increasing the numerical strength of its armed forces, it is also increasing its investment in its capabilities and is increasingly prepared to address and test our collective responses. In the light of this, I believe it is important for our NATO allies to make real their commitment to hit the military spending minimum of 2% of their GDP for NATO. The argument has been made coherently and well, I think, by the Select Committee on Defence, and we've heard in this debate a number of calls from members from Clacton and not least the chair of the Defence Select Committee make an eloquent case for this. But it is also important to recognise that the UK only meets the 2% of its target because the government includes expenditure on things such as pensions. And this need for more resources has been made very strongly by a number of members on both sides of the House. Now, at the start of my speech, I stated that this is an important time for NATO. It is indeed for reasons that I and other members have given. It is also important because we must not give the impression that because Britain's leaving the European Union, we are somehow going to lessen our determination to cooperate with our partners and friends within the North Atlantic Treaty Organisation. In this context, the forthcoming NATO summit in Brussels in July will be of tremendous importance. There will be important discussions, especially on the creation of a new command structure to deal with maritime security and the threat which is posed in the North Atlantic. And a number of members have made very strongly their support known for these developments. NATO is a vitally important alliance. We live in a dangerous and uncertain world, and we need to ensure that NATO speaks with one voice and acts as an effective alliance. All of us in this House agree that NATO is important. But as the members of Bridgend and North Durham have eloquently said, we must all make sure that we put the case to NATO, to the people of this country, to make sure there's not only understanding but full support as well. Thank you.